leadership is seldom black and white. Decisions we make is often
Yeah.
various shades of gray.
Yeah.
Parang it's almost next to impossible to have an absolute black and an absolute white.
Mm.
How do you find the middle ground?
The balance of the
Yeah.
middle ground.
Mm-mm.
For me kasi, everyone should be vulnerable.
Okay.
Whether we're a leader or a subordinate, an aspiring one, an existing
Mm-mm.
one,
Mm-mm.
there's that need to be vulnerable. Yes, maybe black and white. If you're leading a team, it
Mm-mm.
has to be clear with the team that, for example, in the workplaces, you have to follow some rules and the blacks. You know,
Mm-mm.
you can be a firm leader.
Mm-mm.
You can be one that can decide. You can take the team to a participative level
Mm-mm.
and try to build consensus also.
Mm-mm.
So in decision making, in coming up with certain parameters, you have to do
Mm-mm.
that. But outside of the office, that's where you can bond with them, laugh with them, just to
Mm-mm.
uh, take away that for example, for exactly that there's delineation of your position, your relationship, but hindi pwedeng tanggalin kasi yung vulnerability natin. We have to be transparent also with the team. that's
Agree.
where that's where you build relationship.
Mm.
Leadership is relationship eh. Di ba?
Mm.
Parang how do we, sabi ko nga, there are things that for me, a very good leader also is someone who's not just strict on telling people to follow you.
Mm.
In the short term, there would be very good result. Strict, follow, the people will follow you, will do things that you wanted to do, etc., etc.
Mm.
But at the end, a more lasting effect is more of when they see you positively, you
Mm.
influence them positively, and then also you provide and embody the values that you want from a
Mm.
good leader.
Mm. Good day. Welcome to the Leader's Edge, and I'm Dino Santos, your host for today. And this is season 13, episode 6. And what a coincidence! Today is also June 13. And so, for those of you who are celebrating Independence Day, here's a toast to all of you. And our guest today is none other than Paulo Tibig, who's going to talk about how to lead without losing your values. And he is one of the country's most sought after motivational speakers. He's a corporate trainer, an executive team coach, a multi awarded entrepreneur, a best selling author, and of course, Philippines' top 30 leaders in LinkedIn. So, could we welcome to the virtual stage Paulo Tibig? Paulo?
Hi everyone, good day and belated Happy Independence Day for those Filipinos all over the world and just happen to be with us right now.
Yeah,
Magandang araw, Dino. Magandang araw.
yeah, same here. What a wonderful day to have this discussion because Independence Day usually brings thoughts of leaders of the past, those who took our country out of bondage. So, Paulo, because of the topic for today and your unique background, especially being one of a coach, have there been moments as a leader when your values were tested when you were really at that breaking point where you had to make a choice somehow?
There's a lot, Dino. In fact, I'm into logistics
Okay.
and we've been in the business for about 23 years to be exact by September
Wow.
this year. Quite quite long already, and that's where the stress comes in all throughout these years. And Well, probably not just within the in this industry, but more so, unfortunately, in the Philippine business landscape, there are a lot of those potential and opportunity to be to be in with some an ethical way of doing business. And in our case, when we were starting out, there's this one um, business unit that we wanted to pursue
Mm,
many years already. And probably because of the divine intervention, we were not fortunate enough to really push through with that particular business model. You know
mm.
why? Because it requires you have to talk to people that requires, you know, some, if I may say, some how can we call it? Well,
Inducements.
inducements, provisions, if I
Yeah,
may say. Basta it's more of an ethical way of doing things.
I
So
understand. The squeaky wheel always gets the grease.
exactly the real money that's involved in potential potential ventures and deals.
Mm,
So since then till now, we've decided not to pursue that particular business model.
mm. And because
And
of your
it's
decision
the
to
same
do that.
character.
Yeah.
It's because of those decisions,
Mm-mm.
we just focus where the core competencies of the business is.
Ah, okay.
And we're still
Mm-mm.
thriving. And that's one of the main mantra that I have um over the years that I have really inculcated and embedded with the team. You know why?
Mm.
Probably it's because of my father. My father used to be an OCW. That time it's I'm sure Dino you know this, overseas contract worker pa.
Mm, mm-mm.
Kasi ngayon it's OFW, no? It's
Mm-mm.
OFW. And he was abroad for just about 4 or 5 years. Came back to the Philippines, and I fully remember he was telling us that it is better to see us grow in, you know, value oriented, ethical, in pure ethics, rather than to be abroad to earn a living. So he would rather see us grow with the character and values that he wanted to inculcate. Probably that's one. And quite a principled man.
Mm-mm.
From a typical OCW, he went back to the country and then started out, ventured into small businesses.
Mm-mm.
Like for example, if you know the uh, oil engine oil that is being in Filipino term takal, yung mga
Right.
tinatakal na nasa
Yeah.
bote for tricycles, for you know, for jeepneys, for all vehicles.
Mm-mm.
So we started with those businesses. He started with those businesses, and I think I've gotten the principle of really earning a living based really on hard work and not
Yes.
doing it through shortcuts.
Mm.
And as we
Mm-mm.
grow, all of us siblings try to really emulate the particular values that he wanted to inculcate with us. And we have quite, in a way, personally, I have seen our business grow also. Anchored on this. Sabi ko nga, you know, businesses can really thrive even on a platform that is based on character, ethics, and values.
Mm.
Pwede pa rin talaga siya. Yeah.
I think it creates a brand that helps you stand out because people, clients, potential clients, will see you as ethical and therefore worthy of trust.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, trust is always an issue in any business, whether it's small or big.
Mm.
And to begin with, in our business also, the model really talks about it's service oriented,
Mm.
and it talks about trust in terms of handling their shipments, the freight requirements, making sure that their goods is there on time. You know, those
Yes.
things.
Mm-mm.
It's always a trust issue that you have to build, and it will take you time to do it. It's not just merely doing business and providing all the promises.
Right.
but it has to be seen, it has to be felt, it has to be experienced,
Mm.
not just
Mm-mm.
visualization. So
Mm.
it helps us grow. It helps us grow, and that's the reason why lately, because of the new generation, we've been seeing a lot of discussion about how to really lead team, how
Mm.
to be a very good leader, and
Mm.
that's where I really wanted to, bring my experience, my expertise managing as a CEO also of a company, on how if I can help people out of this platform, well, why not, diba?
Mm.
Be
Mm-mm.
generous enough to do it.
Especially because of the thought that says that it's from the top down, it emanates
Mm,
downwards. We lead by example. How would you react, for
exactly.
example, to this thought that says leadership is seldom black and white? Decisions we make is often
Yeah,
various shades of gray.
yeah.
Parang it's almost next to impossible to have an absolute black and an absolute white.
Mm.
How do you find the middle ground?
The balance of the
Yeah.
middle ground.
Mm-mm.
For me kasi, everyone should be vulnerable.
Okay.
Whether we're a leader or a subordinate, an aspiring one, an existing
Mm-mm.
one,
Mm-mm.
there's that need to be vulnerable. Yes, maybe black and white. If you're leading a team,
Mm-mm.
it has to be clear with the team that, for example, in the workplaces, you have to follow some rules and the blacks. You know,
Mm-mm.
um, you can be a firm leader.
Mm-mm.
You can be one that can decide. You can take the team to a participative level
Mm-mm.
and try to build consensus also.
Mm-mm.
So in decision making, in coming up with certain parameters, you have to do
Mm-mm.
that. But outside of the office, that's where you can bond with them, laugh with them, just to
Mm-mm.
uh, take away that for example, for exactly that there's delineation of your position, your relationship, but hindi pwedeng tanggalin kasi yung vulnerability natin. We have to be transparent also with the team. that's
Agree.
where that's where you build relationship.
Mm.
Leadership is relationship eh. Di ba?
Mm.
Parang how do we, sabi ko nga, there are things that for me, a very good leader also is someone who's not just strict on telling people to follow you.
Mm.
In the short term, there would be very good result. Strict, follow, the people will follow you, will do things that you wanted to do, etc., etc.
Mm.
But at the end, a more lasting effect is more of when they see you positively, you
Mm.
influence them positively, and then also you provide and embody the values that you want from a
Mm.
good leader. So
Mm.
it's for me, it's pragmatic to say that in the long term, it's much more ideal. Mas maganda yung ano eh. Kasi, as a leader, and one thing, Dino, di ba? Most of the leaders, when they have the title,
Mm.
pag nakapatong na yung corona,
Mm.
di ba? Parang
Mm.
everything else follows. So, it's about superiority,
Yes.
inferiority.
Mm.
That's where the ego comes in. That's where the title comes in. Kaya
Mm.
nga, di ba, minsan parang, if I may say, no, to all our listeners and viewers, parang there are people that once you have the title, example, Juan de la Cruz, di ba? MBA, MA, AFP, PNP, ano pa susunod? RI? What's next? RIP. Lahat na lang ng comma, lahat ng comma. Nothing wrong with
Mm.
that, everyone. But the problem with that, once we have the title, the entitlement comes in already.
Mm.
'Di ba? Parang all the entitlement, wow, I'm superior over you. That's where now, sabi ko nga, you have to strip the crown off your head.
Mm. Mm.
We have to strip the crown off our head kasi we can be leaders still, but
Mm.
knowing that the title is just a title, that
Right.
anytime the title can be, that can be removed. Kaya nga we have to
Mm.
strip that crown off our head.
Mm.
Yan, ganun siya.
To our viewers, Paulo is right, and his words have resonance with the previous guest we had, who was Boris Joaquin, when he spoke
Mm.
about servant leadership, or as he said, lead like Jesus. And
mm,
so he emphasized the absolute need to think, not to be served, but to serve. In other words, to
mm,
have that
mm.
mindset. So
Yeah, yeah.
here's my question to you, Paolo, because sometimes some values may seem to clash with one another, and as
Mm,
leaders, we mediate. Like for example, no, a classic one would be the production side of a manufacturing concern. Their value is to hit their quota, on time,
ah,
on cost, on quality, no
mm,
excuses.
mm,
And then that, of course, smacks right into quality control,
ah,
who would never let anything short of perfection through. And yet,
mm.
here you are trying to make both departments somehow get along with each other. What do you do that helps find the middle ground?
It's all about listening.
Mm,
You know, listening is a skill, and there's always that two-way thing that we need to do. As a leader, we have to listen also to our team.
mm.
It's not just about the team listening to us.
Yes, yes.
It's that's where superiority and inferiority comes in, over
Mm,
inferiority.
mm, mm,
So why so listening? Because uh once we are open to communicating with our team, we can get a lot of ideas, thoughts, insight that can help us.
mm.
Of course, in any businesses, we wanted to get into the bottom of everything. It's about profit. We wanted the
Yes,
business to be profitable.
true.
Malinaw naman yun eh.
Mm,
And profitability really works well if we manage two things. If we manage our operational expenses well, right? And we do a lot of business development that will ensure that there's sustainable business opportunities with our services, with our products, with our offers.
mm,
So for me, the middle ground is really about communicating. We
mm,
have to communicate. We have to listen. From there, we may wanted to have that manufacturing production to be very good, to be maximized, optimize the manpower,
mm,
our
mm,
operation, how it can improve, and so on, et cetera, et cetera. So that is where these people can come in.
mm.
Maybe a thing or two can help us out. If I may provide us a very good example with this, allow me with this.
Please.
You know, in what we do, um, we have what we call as employees hour
Oh.
in my company.
Mm,
And it's done previously many years ago, quarterly. Kaya lang
mm.
because of the too many that we wanted to reach, parang we wanted to have it bi-monthly na.
Ah.
So what we do is to pick randomly from every department. So if the department is quite big, we pick at least two people. From other
Mm,
department, one. So it's a no holds bar discussion over
mm,
over merienda. Dati-dati kasi over dinner mahal eh.
mm.
Ngayon
Well.
over merienda, over merienda, 2
Mm,
hours, no holds bar,
mm,
everyone can speak
mm.
and can freely speak. So walang kasama doon, it's just the CEO or the president and one from HR, just to take
Mm.
note of things, etc., etc. So
So,
what we do is to, yeah,
sorry
right,
for interrupting. So, you're saying this is less formal than, say, a town hall meeting. This is
yeah.
just
It's
merienda
a
and.
typical merienda thing, if you may say.
Okay.
It's a milk tea type of discussion, kasi we have to be relevant. It's now milk tea. Ayoko ng kapihan kasi pangkapihan daw mga titos and titas na eh. So parang syempre the multi ano eh, it's the generation right now of our workforce is really on the Gen Z,
Mm.
Gen Z and what
Gen Z.
millennials
Yes.
na. Oh, so
Mm.
milk tea thing na sila, mga BTS type way of doing things na ganyan, di ba? Parang the K-pop culture into it. So
Ah.
just to stay relevant, call for a milk tea day. We
Mm.
call it lately as a milk tea day with the president.
Cool.
So, ganun ang dating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, parang order ng milk tea. Nandiyan ang milk tea. Nasa conference room. It's
Mm.
not formal as you wish. Not a typical town hall. Not even a huddle. But
Mm.
it's just a, sharing of thoughts,
Mm.
insights, no
Mm-mm.
holds bar, speak your own language.
So
So
if
ganon.
I'm
So lahat,
Mm-mm.
yeah, Dino.
So if I'm getting the vibe that you're trying to communicate, it seems that what you're after is to enable people in the organization to be humanized so that we can see the person behind the
Mm,
job, behind the name.
yeah,
Also
yeah,
to create a sense of compassion.
yeah. Humanize, compassion, and know that they're part, and they can really, be one that can really contribute for the organization.
Mm. Mm-mm.
So, if I may add lang, no, with
Yeah,
this type of
please.
activity.
Mm-mm.
So no holds bar, as I mentioned, everyone will speak.
Wow.
Everyone will have the chance to speak.
Mm-mm.
Anything, good thing, not just bad thing, but more of how can we can be more, how can we improve further.
Mm-mm.
An example of that result, many years ago, our couriers, if I may say, were into the B2B model kasi, business to
Mm-mm.
business model. So it's more of corporate. Many years ago, they have a 25 how much is that? 25 pesos allowance every day for texting. Texting pa nun. Wala pang mga ibang system. That was, ayoko nang sabihin kung ano pa yung mga telco, baka magkaalaman na kung anong mga taon pa yon eh. So 25 pesos per day times X number of couriers. So that's in a month, for example, Mondays to Saturday, that's how
Mm-mm.
much. Multiplied by 4,
Mm-mm.
that's probably per month of that particular individual.
Yes.
And then during that course of, if I may say, employees are before, now it's multi-day with the president,
Mm.
one of the employees have suggested to explore one telco that provides 125 pesos a month unlimited texting and call during those periods.
Mm.
After which, we've asked admin to check on that,
Mm.
and then eventually, tama nga. And then we've started doing it. So,
Mm.
so that's just an example. That's an example of how can we involve, how can we engage these people. Alam mo, there's that pride, there's that moment of joy also with the team
Mm.
when they know that they are exactly contributing and that contribution is being implemented or
Right.
being
Yeah.
given the chance lamang. The mere fact that, sige, let's explore that. Those things na marinig lang nila, sige, subukan
Mm.
natin, tingnan natin, pag-aralan natin.
Mm.
That really gives that moral. Sabi nga natin, you have to be, as a leader, we have to be positive influence eh.
Mm.
And these are the influence that hindi mo kailangan pang pag-aralan. These are
Mm.
the things that they really value, and this value that provides value to our
Mm.
organization. An
Uh,
example of how we can really
mm.
further develop that middle ground within our teams. Yeah.
Paulo, how has that affected, for example, the massive, what they call the great resignation that occurred during the pandemic years? Has it helped to stem the outflow of people? Because we have to be gentler, more understanding.
Mm.
Did that make a big dent in losing people or keeping people?
Well, in our case, no, while we have seen that our industry, our business model have really stood,
Mm.
and it's one industry that's quite resilient over the span of pandemic. And Dino, we're so blessed to have this industry in us, this business with us.
Mm-mm.
Uh, to give you an idea, the past 2 years of the pandemic, um, and with all humility, uh, we've been handling most of the perishables, most of the COVID-related shipments,
Mm.
even by competitors. Even by competitors. You know why? Um, we've been chartering flights during those period for the last, well, probably it lasted for about 6 or even 8 months,
Mm.
4 times, 5 times a week.
Mm.
So it's not the usual way of, of the daily grind.
Mm.
And then here comes even the competitors, even the major airlines was with us, to ensure that COVID-related important critical shipments are being flown to different
Mm.
key cities in the country. So we're quite fortunate enough to be one of those, just, if I may say, 3 to 5
Mm.
freight company in the country. By doing so, uh, we were recognized by two major, sa bagay tatlo lang naman sila, by two
Right.
major
Mm.
carrier in the country as one of the, top shippers for the last 2 years. For the last
Mm.
2 years. And in fact, this month again, uh, we will be again recognized as one of
Mm.
those top shippers in the
Mm.
country. So what does it tells us? It tells us about, while we were hit also by pandemic,
Yeah.
um, we've terminated at least 50 individuals also, because
Mm.
operations, siyempre nagbaba rin talaga na operations, and 80% of our manpower is also with the manpower agency.
Mm.
So while we were really affected also, but it took the chance to really pursue still operationally in a lean way as much as possible to ensure that there's continuity.
Mm.
Alam mo yun, still what we wanted to aim is really to provide the business requirements of our valued business partner, our customers, to ensure that regardless of the number of manpower,
Mm.
yes, there would be some that is affected. There are those that have multitask, that some that have worked really to ensure that there's continuity with this. So we were affected also, but then
Mm.
we're so blessed to have this kind of in the industry that we're into right now. Kaya nga sabi ko nga, if there's one business model that can work with you, it's always about in the transportation business. We have seen that in pandemic, high level transportation business, even the new startup, di ba nagkaroon pa nga even yung mga pasabay. Alam mo yun, yung magbabay ka, magpapasabay ka lang. Those are part of the transportation
Mm.
model eh. And it tells us and it proves to us that you have to be in the business that's really going to be sustainable and in the long term, regardless of the situation, regardless of the weather conditions. I mean, weather
Mm.
condition, not literally weather, but that can weather any kind of situation and conditions.
Mm. So
Parang,
you're saying in effect that people first listen to them, let them share their thoughts, help them become visible,
mm,
make them feel like they're contributing, and that
mhm,
way you can help to ensure that the organization stays on the on the clear level. In other words, no compromises where it's not necessary, but some where we need to exhibit compassion and concern,
yeah,
especially for our talents. Mm.
yeah. I'm really telling people that humans are not like robots. Eh.
Mm.
you know um when you've stated earlier that we have to humanize
Yeah.
our team members, and that's exactly uh one of the character of a great leaders in the organization.
Mm.
uh you have to listen to them. Sabi ko nga dyan, you have to have that ear on the ground.
Yeah. Yes.
You have to have that senses. Hindi mo alam kung anong hugot nila eh. Hindi
Mm.
mo alam ano nangyayari doon sa pamilya nila. Hindi mo alam
Mm.
kung ano nangyayari sa bahay nila.
Mm.
And there are hugots. There are hugots na kuminsan bakit ganto sa everyday.
Mm.
So you have to have that ear. You have to have that ear. Listen to them, ear on the ground, feel their senses, know them. No, those things can provide you. There are a lot of ways to do it. 'Di ba? In the strict sense, normally when we're in the workplaces, we try to be as much as serious as possible, and then that's where it follows. Paano ba naman yun? Pwede ka naman, sabi ko nga, we have to be vulnerable eh.
Right.
laugh with them, join with them, eat with them, and be with them. Be with them.
Mm.
That's if there would be opportunity to be with them, join them during lunch or merienda, play
Mm.
around with them. Those stuff you can really connect and communicate with them. Listening really is a skills, and by knowing so, di ba, minsan nga may mga activities, lalapit na lang sa'yo yung tao.
Mm.
Sir,
Mm.
yung anak ko po, alam mo, ngayon gagraduate na, blah, blah, because of what we have been doing, blah, blah. Those things. A small
Mm.
chat makes a long, long way for these people. Kaya nga,
Mm.
humanizing,
Mm.
uh, probably it's not even, if I may say, it's not even a strategy.
Mm.
It's all about what we see as a value and as we value
Mm.
yung mga tao. Kaya nga, um, in sports, di ba, may mga superstars in sports.
Yes.
Di ba? There are people who are BIPs, very important person.
Or
Di ba?
MVPs, yeah.
Or MVPs, most valuable person. Di ba?
Mm.
Why not our people can be treated also as MVPs? Di ba?
Mm.
They are also very important to us. Sabi ko nga, Dino, ang bawat isa ay mahalaga eh. Alam mo yon. Di
Yes.
ba? Yung parang
Yes.
kailangan ipakita mo na minamahal mo yung not just the company that is a business in itself, but also
Mm.
our people.
Mm.
Why? In return, papahalagahan din nila yan at mamahalin din
True.
naman nila yung
True.
ginagawa natin for them.
Mm.
So it's really all about value. And these are, isasabi ko na, you have to embody. You have to be that positive influence with people.
Mm.
And by doing so, it's much more easier for them to follow suit.
Mm.
Kasi nakikita nila, nararamdaman nila at alam nila na part sila.
Mm. Paolo,
Yan.
on a follow-up question, and probably last one na lang kasi I realize medyo mahaba na yung
Haba na.
so like
uh,
my question to you is this: a dilemma, a dilemma
mm,
faced by so many in a leadership position, where it said that familiarity breeds contempt, and that it's still important for leaders to be respected somehow, but
mm,
like, as well as like. Um, how can you tell when somebody is getting too familiar, and maybe is beginning to lose their respect, and not behaving the way they should?
should. Well, for me kasi from the beginning, it has to be clear with the individual or with the team.
Mm-mm.
So there should be a delineation. That's the reason why I uh, discussed earlier something that in the office, in the workplace, they know exactly that you can be firm, that you have that, that still have that relationship of a leader
Mm-mm.
and a follower. It has to be
Mm-mm.
clear.
Mm-mm.
Expectation also should be clear.
Mm.
It has to be guided um, by clear set of rules by the organization in terms
Mm-mm.
of the performances, the indicators,
Mm-mm.
para we can lessen the bound, the boundless way na
Mm-mm.
they will be over and above those things na they thought na, oh well, we're good enough, we have very good relationship. It has to be more
Yes.
than that eh.
Mm-mm.
So clearly, when in the office, when in the workplace, it has to be still result. There should be
Mm-mm.
performance, basis of performance,
Mm-mm.
clear expectation, manageable ways, and things that needs to be cleared with people.
Mm.
By doing so, by doing so, mas magiging malinaw with our team.
Right.
They know exactly where to position themselves, where
Mm-mm.
to bond, where
Mm-mm.
to enjoy time with one
Mm-mm.
another. They know
Mm-mm.
exactly where to work really, where to be
Ah.
serious at, and so on. So
So in
it
other
has to be
words,
clear. It has to be clear.
transparency helps to define the boundaries
Yep.
of how
Yep.
far they can go or shouldn't go beyond.
Right. Right. That's the reason why typically for example, if it's 8 to 5 thing, 7 to 4 thing, you know exactly that you have to work.
Mm.
Probably after 6. Then
Yeah.
probably you can laugh around,
Mm-mm.
work around, play around, and
Mm-mm.
drink around and so on. So it has to be clear. Knowing exactly the boundaries
Mm-mm.
provides better appreciation of something.
Mm-mm.
So ganon siya.
Paulo, it also sounds to me, it also sounds similar to, say, a culture to culture situation,
Mm,
where, for example, a bank with a very conservative culture might implement your ideas differently,
mm.
and say Google might implement it in a totally
Differently
different
also.
way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly. It has to be adapted within the culture of the organization.
mm,
We may have different cultures, but at one of the base of all cultures in the organization is all about taking the team to have that winning, to have that culture of winning. So
yes.
how do you do that? You have to build team, and as a leader, we have to build our team to ensure that build the culture, build the team, and
Mm,
by no means we have to start knowing exactly what culture, what we wanted to develop within the team. It's not an overnight thing. Eh. Culture is beyond
yes.
words. Di ba? Sabi
Mm,
ko nga, alam mo, culture for me is about, parang ano yan eh, dugong nananalaytay sa atin.
right.
Day in, day out. Di ba? You have to
Mm,
live in, live out that culture. Without doing so, how can you build culture?
mm.
Ah, short of time.
Yes.
In our setup also, we have what we call as dugong pongkan culture.
Oh,
Probably yung dugong.
I gotta hear the what does dugong pongkan mean? That's the first
Well,
time I've
for
heard it.
one, yeah, it's hashtag dugong pongkan culture.
Okay.
Uh, we try to encourage our team members to be one and to be fair enough to say that they have that dugong pongkan culture. For us kasi, it should not be a lip service thing. It has to be
Oh, okay.
reflected in what we do.
Mm-mm.
Say for example, well, to begin with, bagit dugong pongkan, our corporate color kasi is orange, that's one. Uh,
There you go.
and and two, we try to resonate the color, the activeness of the color,
Mm,
the vibrantness of the color
mm-mm.
into embedding and inculcating within us
Mm,
as part of the team. So it
mm-mm.
starts with us leaders. So
Mm-mm.
we now encourage everyone from onboarding in how to really build culture within.
Mm.
Of course, it's easier said than done.
Yes, true
It
enough.
takes time, years to be exact. Hindi
Mm,
pwedeng isang talkies lang. Hindi pwedeng sa onboarding lang ng tao.
mm-mm.
But how do you develop that dugong pongkan culture?
Mm-mm.
One thing for that is that, for example, one of our key mantra is find ways. Even before
Mm.
the bank have that tagline,
You're
we
right.
have that di ba? We have that tagline. One of the main core mantra is to find ways. Say for
Mm,
example, di ba, the usual for our team members, wala na, hindi na pwede, di ba? The usual, hindi na pwede, okay na yan, etc., etc.
mm-mm.
So what we wanted to discourage is to find ways. We're in the service
Yes.
business,
Mm-mm.
and customers, valued customer, can really trust you and rely
Mm.
to you if you do things extraordinarily for them. Say, for
Yes.
example, we have this shipment that requires to be in that destination by tomorrow.
Oh boy.
So how will you do that? We will, it is very, for example, that shipment is very critical to start off with the opening of a store,
Mm.
to provide that shipment, to start off with an activity, blah, 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 and so on. So
Mm.
what can you do? Can you
Yeah.
tell the customer na, ma'am, pasensya na po, hindi po namin kaya yan.
Mm.
So
Mm.
by doing so, we encourage our team, ma'am, sige po, we will try to find ways and work with
Mm.
that.
And that
So
sounds
that's
to
the
me like
difference. There's that
the,
difference now
yeah.
in how we operate things. So we
Mm.
really encourage our people to be like Dugong Pongkan by way of reflecting on their day-to-day work, that
Ah.
culture. So it's more of service excellence culture.
Mm.
Why?
Mm.
That will make us different from the rest of the competition. That will
That's
make us
right.
stand out. That will make us, you know, um, over and above ahead of the competition. If the
Mm.
competition is like apples, if this is the principle that I always share, um, say for example that you see apples, plate of apples, and on top of that there's an orange. And
Okay.
then you see the apples as your competition.
Mm,
Parang pare-pareho lang that you can provide. How can I buy from you? How can we patronize you if you just have the same offering, the same and the same and the same?
that's true.
So we
That's
encourage
true.
us to be like the orange, who will stand
Mm-mm.
out, who will be different from the rest of the apples, who can work our way, who can provide better options, provide you better way of doing things, the way you do your business and so on. So we
Mm,
have to be the orange among apples. You know, in business, whether many years ago till now, you talk about the way that innovativeness, that mindness of how can you still lead? How can you be relevant? How can the customer be sustained and patronize you all over these years?
mm,
There's a
mm.
reason in different business model. If you're into food business, you have to provide quarterly or every year that's new offering in your menu.
Right.
If you're in the service business, how can you take that innovation with you? Whether you use technology, whether you use different methods and ways to develop further the way you serve them, and so on and so on.
Mm.
So
And
that
that's
mantra really works.
yeah. And that's so true
Mhm.
because the world is changing so fast now. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
if we don't learn to adapt and find the ways that you're describing, we'll be left behind.
Exactly. You know, Dino, if I may share for the audience, okay lang ba? Quickly on
Sure.
innovation. I really
Sure.
love this. What I coin is about all about innovate, no? Parang
Mm.
yung innovate. I'll just make it an acronym type way of no. Sabi ko nga in. It's either you're in or out. Yan,
Right.
in. Tapos no, ino, di ba? No.
Mm.
Nowhere to go but up. Nowhere
Yeah.
to go but up. Kasi it's
Mm.
trajectory. Dapat
Mm.
pataas ka lagi. Hindi pwedeng mag-stagnant. That's the reason why you'll be left behind by your competition. Eh. So that's
Mm.
ino. V, value the essence of time. Kailan pa?
Mm. Mm.
Pag lahat ng kalaban mo, nauna na, ikaw na pag-iwanan na. Di ba?
Right.
And eight, don't be eaten by the competition.
Mm.
Innovate. Either you're in or out, nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
You have to value the essence of time. And eight, you don't need to be eaten and you don't want to be eaten by your competition.
Mm.
Innovate. So in our case, di ba, whether you're an individual who wanted to make a mark also,
Mm.
there's a need for us to innovate. Di ba?
Mm.
From our hairdo to our fashion, the way, the way we see things, all about relevance. And
Mm.
then what more with the organization in our businesses? How can we be innovative?
And that is such a great way to end today's show, uh, with that particular acronym. Wonderful. Paolo, I'd like to give you a chance to reach out to our listeners, our viewers. How do they find you? How do they get your organization to help them with their supply chain issues?
Well, two things, everyone. No? Well, unang-una, we're all in the social media. Just look into Paulo Tibig. That's Paulotibig from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, even TikTok. So we're
Whoa.
there.
Okay.
But you will not find me just dancing and dancing with those TikTok things. It's really more
Mm,
of motivational quotes,
mm.
motivational statements, but there's some dancing also, Dino,
Yeah,
all along the way kasi we have to stay relevant. The
that's right.
BTS thing, di ba, the culture. If you wanted us to help you out, your team, I'm into public speaking, corporate trainings, and
Mm,
that's a lot of keynotes for a lot of conferences, sales rallies, general assemblies. Like for this one, middle of the year, it's
mm,
last hurrah of the next half of the year.
mm.
So we have a lot of invite to speak with a lot of different organizations to to really rally the team on
Right.
how to really progress in the next months to come for the rest of the year.
Mm-mm.
So plus, well, on the business side, it's V Cargo Worldwide. If you wanted to help us out, get something going on for you,
Mm.
and we can also explore doing business with our organization. So yon, just follow us and be the next followers. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Paulo. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's topic, and I know I certainly did, because this we explored at depth values and leadership. So do remember to just click on the like, share, and subscribe. And if you're wondering what's coming up next, we have Fabi Carino, who will be talking about wellness leadership, managing happiness and health in organizations, which is very well linked with our topic today. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you found this session to be really full of actionable thoughts and ideas. Do please write in the comments section what to you was the most valuable thing that you got from listening to our discussion today. And for those who will be the first three to write their comments, Paulo will autograph a copy of his book called Standing Out, and we will be sending them to you. So include your address as well as your comment when you comment in our comment section. So with that, thank you so much. So as ever, just remember that learning is a never-ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day. Thank you so much, Paulo. See you soon.
Salamat.